I want to tackle some NFL related topics. Obviously, the Broncos, the team you're most connected with. They had a surprising season this past year. Thoughts on their most recent season, and thoughts on their recent draft, them drafting a cornerback in the first round.
Yeah, the Broncos, Sean Payton, man, he's all business. The guy's a serious guy. He's a serious coach. He loves the game and he wants to win. And he's very honest about his intentions. I think they really hit it out of the park with Bo Nix last year. They got the quarterback of the future, and the defense was phenomenal. They added to it with Hufunga and Greenlaw from San Francisco. Then I heard Greenlaw got hurt recently. That was bad news. So hopefully he's not out for too long because he was going to make a great defense even better. And then offensively, I did think they were going to take a playmaker in the first round. I thought they'd add a receiver, a running back. They went with the DB. But, in the draft, you got to take best player available. So if that's what they had on their board, they picked up a running back later. So we'll see how they use them. But, offensively, if they can pick it up a little bit, score another 3 points a game with that defense they have, they're going to be contenders. They're going to be contenders. I like the direction.
Yeah, I think we're seeing things the same way in that obviously there's no question the defense is good. I think they were a top four defense last year. They had the reigning defensive player of the year in Surtain, but the offense is kind of lagging. It can be inconsistent at times, as good as Knicks is. So is it safe to say they need that kind of secondary playmaker outside of Cortland Sutton? I know they picked up Evan Engram, but that secondary playmaker to step up to really lift them to that elite level.
Yeah, let's not forget they did pick up Evan Engram. They're going to use him as like a big receiver in the passing game, and he's can sometimes be a quarterback's best friend, right? Usually the tight ends are running routes that are a little closer to the quarterback over the middle of the field. Easy targets for the QB if he's getting pressure. They need a guy that can win in one-on-one situations at that tight end position. So that was a big pickup. I'd still and they have some talented young receivers that they used last year that will continue to contribute. But yeah, I did think they were gonna go, first round with either, we talked about, a highly regarded running back, perhaps a wide receiver to add to the outside, maybe another tight end. You can't have too many of those guys really, and having two elite wide receivers on either side of the quarterback really helps open things up. But the Evan Engram will help do the same thing.
Do you think, as currently constructed, because most of the free agent signings are done, obviously they did the draft. Do you think that this team, this Broncos team, can be an elite team as soon as 2025, up against the likes of the Chiefs and whatnot?
Yeah, they're going to compete right away. And they played the Chiefs well. I know they beat them the end of the year when they weren't playing their starters to get in, but they're still a very good team. Um, and they played them tough the last couple of years, even during the regular season. So with a great defense, if the offense can pick it up a little bit and move the ball against a good Kansas City Chiefs defense, they're going to be in those games. They match up well against them.
What do you see from Bo Nix? Obviously, he had an amazing rookie season, but what do you see from him?
I see a strong arm. I see incredible accuracy, really good footwork. He doesn't take a lot of sacks, one of the least sack quarterbacks in the league. That was something that Sean Payton emphasized before last season. I think they accomplished that. Sean Payton knows where he wants his quarterback to go with the football. When he calls the play, he wants the quarterback to see the field the way he sees it. And I think Bo Nix does that. That's why he likes him so much. So they'll continue to work with him and the rest of the team. They'll have I'd like to see him have a really solid, quick passing game, but then be able to stretch it, get the protection needs and take some shots down the field. That's where, having a lot of speed guys on the outside and guys running deep crossing routes across the middle of the field, I think if he gets the time he needs, will help stretch things, and they'll have some more explosive plays, hopefully next year, than what they had last year. But he's the guy Sean Payton wants taking snaps. He sees the field the way Coach Payton sees it.
Why do you think that duo works so well together? Because when he was drafted last year, Bo, people already kind of knew, okay, Sean and Bo, they're going to work well together. Explain why that's the case.
Well, you never know for sure, right? Until you get on the field and start playing. That's why with all these rookies that are drafted, it's like you can project based off of past experience, but that's not a guarantee of future results. So you hope you're right, and there's reason to be able to have some confidence in your predictions, but you're still predicting. These guys haven't taken a snap yet. But some of the reasons were he has a quick release, he has a strong arm, he's a smart quarterback. My son Luke, who plays receiver for the Commanders, played with him in the Senior Bowl last year. And he was telling me what a leader he was and how he commanded the huddle, how he could relay these lengthy play calls from the sideline to the huddle. It talked about his demeanor and communication with the play caller in that game. And he's like, he's the real deal. I mean, so I knew about him before he actually started a game for the Broncos. But but I also think he processes quickly. That's something that's hard to measure, right? How does he process? Well, it's basically you can anticipate. You see the field, you know where to go with the football, you process quickly and get rid of the ball. And he does that really well.
Is there a certain, I know that they drafted a number of guys. They drafted RJ Harvey, by the way, the running back from UCF. Is there a certain draft prospect from the Broncos that stands out to you most, or who you think is going to make the biggest impact on day one?
We're gonna have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I like to watch them in training camp first. It's one thing to watch their college film, it's another to watch them in the all-star games. But for me, training camp is very telling. I'll go out to the practices, I'll watch them, size them up next to the guys on their team, see how they move, see how quickly, they pick up the offense or defensive scheme, and that'll make my analysis. So a little too early for me, but as soon as I watch a couple weeks of practice, I'll have a good feeling for who's going to contribute.
Okay. All right, fair enough. We'll wait until training camp. I want to ask you about your son's team and your former team, also the San Francisco 49ers. Rough season last year. They lost some star players in the offseason. Thoughts on them entering the 2025 season? Where do they stand? Are they still one of the better NFC teams when healthy?
Yeah, I think people forget so quickly, and I get it. If you lose some games, that team's on the back burner. But you got to remember, this team was in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and in the NFC Championship the year before that, and they're about to sign their quarterback to a 50 to 60 million dollar a year deal. You need your quarterback. They're about ready to lock him up. They just signed George Kittle, one of the best tight ends of all time. Trent Williams is coming back at left tackle. We forget they lost Brandon Ayuk for almost the whole season. That's their starting wide receiver outside the numbers. Christian missed most of the year, so they had like four all pro, Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame caliber guys. Greenlaw missed all last year. Hufanga missed a lot of the year. Ward didn't play because of an off-field tragedy. So they were missing so many guys. You got to throw last year out the window. Thought they had a good draft, a lot of defensive guys that they needed to draft some defensive linemen and linebackers. So they added to the defense, added to the offense a little bit later, but they have a lot of great players coming back. So, on paper, I think they're probably the favorite to win their division by most NFL analysts. If not, they're definitely competing. And the Rams have a solid team as well, but they're right back in the hunt.
Yeah, you were kind of touching upon that, how people kind of have short-term memories. So, long story short, if they're healthy, you just said they re-signed Kittle, they're going to do it with Purdy. When healthy, they're still one of the better teams in the NFC. They're still one of the best.
Yeah, and I don't even say when healthy anymore, just because that's for every team, right? Like if you took a team that was healthy last year and take away their five best players, they're no longer in the hunt, right? So that's just the way it is in the NFL. So if you have bad luck, you have bad luck. What are you going to do about it? But their roster, as it stands right now, is loaded.
Obviously, Christian, you brought it up. He had a tough season last year with the injuries, and it's tough considering he was a top five MVP candidate the year before. He's getting a little bit older, obviously, for a running back, 29 years old, going on 30. You had a long career. You played till you were 35, I remember it. So, have you given Christian any advice as he gets into his later years in the NFL?
Yeah, I say fall in love with the process. I really don't need to give Christian any advice, honestly. Like he's a full grown man. He's been playing a long time. He gets it. He's always kind of gotten it, but he's in love with the process. And I encourage all young players, fall in love with the process. Work every day on being better than you were the day before. Right. And when you fall in love with your process, he loves training. He loves working out. He loves the off season because he gets bigger, stronger, faster. And he loves that and if you just focus on that, you enjoy every day, and then you play for as long as you can, but you never look past today, right? So, you know, I played 13 years, and when I finally decided to retire, it just kind of hit me. Okay, I'm ready. But, you see guys like Tom Brady play till they're 40. I don't, it's different than it used to be. Guys can play for a long, long time. But more importantly, you want to play at the highest level possible today. So don't look too far into the future. Just live every day like it's your last. Train to be the best player you can be. Be there for your team, and have fun, man. Life's too short to not have fun doing what you love to do.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, since you're obviously Christian's father. I've interviewed him a few times. This is the first time I'm speaking to you. But what would you say is Christian's best trait? Because from talking to him, I noticed he's just very determined, very motivated at all times. Would you say that that's accurate?
Oh yeah, obviously, he's competitive, incredible work ethic, determined and all that stuff. But also, we were talking about a processor with quarterbacks. He processes probably better than any running back that's ever played the game, and he's the best receiving running back out of the backfield that's ever played the game. I mean, that's just a fact. And so I think those types of backs, based on the way the passing game has evolved in the NFL, are the type of backs that are going to be highly regarded moving forward. I mean, you're always going to need a first and second down guy, and those guys are valuable. But having a guy that doesn't leave the field, that can contribute on third down and be, when we say a receiver, like there's a difference between, you know, catching checkdowns or catching wide routes or swing routes or running the running back route tree and lining up in the slot and going man to man versus a safety or a linebacker running a stutter comeback outside the numbers like that. There's a huge difference. That's like being able to play receiver and running back, not running routes as a running back, but being able to play two different positions. And there's not too many players that can do that. And that and just vision. Vision's another quality that running backs have. So the great running backs have incredible vision. They see how the play is developing. You know, in the run game, they follow their blockers, and they know when to stick their foot in the ground and get downhill. And not every running back has great vision. The best running backs do. I think that's probably a quality that running backs need to possess to be great. That's not talked about enough.
I want to ask you, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I grew up watching you. I watched you, Rod Smith, Shannon Sharp, and whatnot, so I remember how good you were. And I know Christian was a top pick in the draft, but did you see it from at an early age for him that he would supersede your career, so to speak?
Yeah, in seventh grade, we were running around the golf course, and that's when I realized I couldn't catch him anymore, and it was kind of pissing me off. I mean, we were messing around. I started chasing him, and I wasn't quite catching him. I was getting close, but he would cut or juke or jive, and he'd kind of lose me. And I realized this kid, you know, he's not too bad. Then I laughed. Player that I played against in the NFL, Chad Brown, who played in the NFL for a really long time, as a linebacker in the league. He was coaching at my football camp that I run every summer in June, and he was demonstrating a drill, and Christian ran a route on him. It was a choice route, and he beat him on the route. And Chad stays in pretty great shape. He was still in really good shape. And so then I knew it wasn't just me that he was beating. You know, he just made a move on a former all-pro linebacker and looked pretty good doing it. And that's when he was in, seventh or eighth grade. So you never know for sure, because you never know how big and tall and quick and fast they're going to grow. I mean, seventh grade to college is a big difference, right? But I could tell early on he definitely had some skills.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Last NFL related topic I'll tackle. I want to talk about your other son, Luke, who just went through his rookie season with the Commanders. Thoughts on his rookie season? And he plays the same position that you played, wide receiver. Did you give him any advice going into the season or after the season?
Yeah, he's got a really good receivers coach at Bobby Ingram and great offensive play caller, obviously, in Cliff Kingsbury. But Luke played quarterback his whole life and only switched to receiver in college, like right before his senior season. And so we watched every practice and every game, and I give him my 2 cents for what it's worth. But he has really good coaches. And man, I'm so happy that he's playing for Dan Quinn in Washington. And he joined the team right when they picked Jaden Daniels, their quarterback. They had such a phenomenal year. That is a really tight-knit group. Like if you're going to be in meeting rooms and practice and play games with guys week in and week out, you want to be around people that you like and you respect. They got a good locker room.